Unlike the little red-haired girl's doggedly loyal devotee, Charlie Brown's best friend Linus has had a plethora of love interests, culminated through decades of romantic hijinks. Of course, some are merely products of unrequited love, whilst others, perhaps something more. Whatever the case may be, this is the lengthy retrospective of Linus's love life. Over the course of this video, we'll be touching upon each and every single one of Linus's love interests, in chronological order. So, where better to start than with Linus's first, whom I suspect no one saw coming. Violet. Believe it or, well, don't, but Violet is actually Linus's first crush. Sort of. First revealed on the comic issue dated April 8th, 1957, Linus presents Violet a gift, whilst professing his fascination over her. The gift turns out to be a bunch of French fries, but Violet thanks him regardless, resulting in Linus going red in the face. The romance is short-lived, however, for no future comics mention any further advances by Linus, nor the aforementioned encounter. If I had to harbor a guess as to why nothing ever came of it, I suppose Linus's immaturity and his security blanket would be a factor, as alluded to by these two comics. And personally, I don't see Linus and Violet complementing each other at all. Because, well, Linus is an astute, kind, good-natured theologist, whereas Violet, she's the scum of the earth. I mean, take a look at this strip. Linus is standing by himself, minding his own business, and Violet comes along and calls him fat. I mean, who does that? Then again, he does look kind of chunky. For better or for worse, Linus and Violet's relationship was merely a flash in the pan. But the same definitely can't be said for the next character. Sally. Where do I even begin with this? I suppose the 10th of June 1959 is a good place to start. On said date, Linus meticulously calculates the likelihood to which Sally would date Linus in the future. Now I have to say this comic is a little questionable, but given the fact that up to this point Linus hasn't even met Sally yet. In fact, she doesn't make her debut until 2 months later. But from here thereafter, Linus is firmly on the receiving end of Sally's boundless, unrequited love. I don't think that any relationship in Peanuts better epitomizes the term unrequited love, besides maybe that of Lucy and Schroeder's. Dating back to October 25th, 1959, where Sally plants her first kiss, the heedless pursuit of Linus's affection has transcended beyond cultural iconography, even enduring to the sunset years of the comic's publication. As of speaking, the misadventures of Sally and Linus continue, and heaven knows when it shall ever cease, given how deeply the trope's been embedded into the Peanuts franchise. Miss Othmar. I'm inclined to be tentative when it comes to speaking about student-teacher relationships, so I'll keep it brief. Ensuing a mere 4 months after Sally's, Linus's relationship with Miss Othmar is first mentioned on the 6th of October, 1959, when Lucy questions Linus concerning the identity of a Miss Othmar. Linus is quick to clarify that she's his teacher, and subsequently rambles and praises her incessantly to Lucy and his friends for the better part of the next decade, his admiration growing to the extreme of dreaming about the teacher and showering her with gifts.
Wow! A heart-shaped box of candy. I'm buying a Valentine for Miss Othmar, my teacher.
It's kind of expensive, isn't it?
The amount of money that you spend on a present should be in direct proportion to the amount of affection that you have for that person.
You'd better be careful, Linus. It's not a good idea to fall in love with your teacher.
I didn't say I was in love with her. I merely said I'm very fond of the ground on which she walks.
Now, I can empathize with the humorous side of things. I think it is hilarious how much Linus is entranced by Miss Othmar. But having said that, it is a little creepy 60 years on, and from the perspective of a teen who's... Okay, let's not go there. Fortunately, the fling concludes on the 28th of February, 1969, after Miss Othmar is dismissed from the school following her participation in a teacher strike. Expectedly, Linus does not take the news well, and the memories of Miss Othmar linger on. Though it does appear she was rehired, for her name is mentioned a handful of times at school following her initial departure. But thankfully, Linus's infatuation no longer abides, and he quits with the praises. Which is, I think we can all agree, for the better. Anyways, Truffles. For a character who's only ever made 15 appearances, you'll be hard-pressed to come across another character as popular as Truffles. For some reason, the general consensus of Truffles by Peanuts fans is overwhelmingly positive, and many cite her relationship with Linus as the reason. Debuting on the 31st of March 1975, Linus meets Truffles while searching for Truffles. Their relationship flourishes rapidly as they write and conversate to one another, though Snoopy, being a pest he is, intrudes at every chance he gets. Unfortunately, Truffles leaves town, thus ending their companionship prematurely and rendering Linus heartbroken. I don't know about you, but have you ever seen Linus this upset? He's wrecked! Incredibly, the two are reunited on the 21st of January 1977, both meeting once more in Truffles' grandfather's barn. Only to be interrupted by Sally. Like, come on! Sally takes the role of Snoopy in this comic. I don't think I need to say any more. Long story short, Linus ends up on the roof of the barn and gets whisked away by the Snoopy copter, abandoning Truffles, and this time, for good. It's a bit sour thinking what might have, could have, should have been when it came to Linus and Truffles. Although, given how Schultz abstained from reciprocated love and happy endings, I suppose it was never meant to be. Unfortunately. Mary Jo. Easily the most forgettable character featured in this video so far, Mary Jo appeared in a total of 3 scenes in one special. That being 1981's Someday You'll Find Her, Charlie Brown, which is widely considered as one of, if not the worst Charlie Brown special of all time. During which, Charlie and Linus spend the entirety of the show looking for a random girl Charlie Brown sees on a TV program of a football game. And when I say Charlie and Linus does all the work, whilst Charlie anxiously wets himself in the background. But returning back to the topic, Mary Jo happens to be her in One Day You'll Find Her, Charlie Brown. She appears right before the credits and never again from thereafter. I guess they have common ground in terms of the security blanket, but there's really nothing else for me to go off of. I'm serious, we don't even know how the picnic that Linus mentions at the end, how it went.
I know what you mean. Maybe we should all wear batting helmets. Well, I guess I'll just make it to Mary Jo's if I leave now. I've been invited to a picnic and barbecue at the farm. See you later, Charlie Brown.
I can only assume it went terrible because Linus never brings her up ever again. Like I said, easily the most forgettable one in this video. I don't even remember who I'm talking about. Lydia. In 1986, the list of Linus's love interests added 2 more entries, the first being Lydia. Introduced on the 9th of June 1986, what begun next is possibly the most confusing dynamic in Peanuts history. Right from the get-go, it is apparent that Linus takes a keen interest on Lydia, frequently reaching out and striking conversations. Unfortunately, Linus's amicability seemingly isn't reciprocated, for Lydia constantly questions their age gap, even though she's only 2 months younger.
This card. Send cards to a lot of people. I thought maybe it was because you liked me. Well, of course I like you. Aren't you kind of old for me?
The hostility endures until the Christmas of 1987, where following a series of skits, Lydia exchanges addresses with Linus to mail Christmas cards to one another. To Linus's dismay, it turns out that the address Lydia gives him is total bogus, which causes his letter to be returned. But here's the kicker. She sends Linus a Christmas card of her own anyway. To which Linus finally admits,
Why do you bother with her? She fascinates me.
and you know what? It might not be one-sided. As the comic drifts into the late 90s, their relationship gradually blossoms, to the extent where even Lydia finds herself exchanging valentines and hinting at a possible affection. All in all, Linus and Lydia's relationship was that of a quirky and charming bond that lasted surprisingly long and is overlooked by most. Tapioca Pudding. Yeah, I know, I'm a really funny guy. Tapioca Pudding. Introduced as a human billboard, Linus meets Tapioca for the first time on the 4th of September, 1986. Somehow, the commercial charms Linus into inviting her for a movie, which enrages Sally. During the ill-fated date, Tapioca bores Linus to death with her licensing nonsense. Linus subsequently never pursues her ever again. Pudding would disappear from the comics after 1986, returning in the Snoopy Presents specials as an extra.
You can eat jelly beans with your fingers.
And tapioca pudding?
Yes?
Forget it.
What can I say besides another contender for Linus's most forgettable love interest? Janice. With the dawn of the 1990s came the debut of Janice in the solemn special, Why Charlie Brown Why? Janice only ever appeared in this one lone special, but she occupies a soft spot in the hearts of many. And you have to say, it is rightfully earned. For those who haven't watched the special, I implore you to check it out. It really is quite the eye-opener. But to summarize, Janice is introduced to us as a friend of Linus. Throughout the beginning of the special, Janice experiences several concerning issues on her way to and at school, such as experiencing a torrid fever and easily bruising herself. She's sent home following a visit to the nurse's office and falls absent from class for the next few days. The teacher announces that she's stationed at the hospital, which greatly worries Linus and Charlie Brown. Hence, they make a thoughtful visit to Janice's ward in the hospital. During said visit, they're told by Janice herself that,
Well, it wasn't just the fever. I have cancer.
Janice proceeds to outline what leukemia is, along with the medical procedures she's underwent. All of this unsettles Charlie Brown and Linus. But Janice reassures Linus that one day, Linus will push Janice on the swings once more. Nevertheless, the bad news deeply upsets Linus, for he sobs on his way home from the hospital. Many months pass, and thankfully, Janice returns, albeit this time sporting a cap, having undergone many bouts of chemotherapy. Unfortunately, her return is not without hindrances, for a nameless and heartless bully taunts Janice over her hat and the baldness that it concealed. Linus snaps and fiercely defends Janice and even schools the bully on the hardships Janice has had to endure. For such a reserved kid, Linus's actions are incredibly admirable, to say the least. And honestly, I'd argue that this act of heroism was his finest hour. A few more months passed, and true to her word, Linus pushes Janice on the swings again. What's more, it's revealed through amazing imagery that her hair has fully grown back, marking the completion of her journey to recovery. It can't be put to words the mental fortitude it takes to overcome such horrible affliction. And it really is heartwarming to see Linus care so profoundly over Janice during her trials and tribulations. Not to mention, there's a subtle fondness shared by the two that radiates during their interactions. Having experienced such a rocky start together, you would imagine that Linus and Janice's relationship would flourish over the near future. But sadly, Janice is yet to appear again following the special, which is a little disappointing. But then again, Janice was introduced in this special to show and inform viewers on leukemia and its treatment. She served her purpose as a character, and when that happens, usually one of the two occurs. They either fade into the background or disappear entirely. I know it sounds cruel, but that's the way it goes. Melody. On a brighter note, our 9th entry comes from the 1994 special You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown, which centers around the Super Bowl, I think. I have to admit, I haven't actually seen this special myself, because it's not available on YouTube or any of the pirating websites I use. But from what I've read, the special circles around a competition that Charlie Brown and Linus participate in over tickets to the Super Bowl. In the midst of this, they meet a girl by the name of Melody. From the few screen caps and videos I've seen, I gather that both Linus and Charlie Brown are drawn to the red-haired girl, as they share a beverage of sorts. What even is that? Ultimately, both Charlie Brown and Linus lose to Melody in the competition. The end. Frankly speaking, this sounds like a terribly written story, and Melody seems like a pointless character whose sole purpose was to one-up Linus and Charlie Brown at the end. Mind you, I haven't even seen You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown in its entirety, so feel free to take your grains of salt. And with that brings us to the last of Linus's love interests. As of the 14th of August at 11:59 p.m. Mimi. Pointless florist with a comically large hat? Okay, let's wrap up this video properly. Debuting in the 1997 special It Was My Best Birthday Ever, Charlie Brown, Linus is drawn to Mimi by her dulcet soprano singing and promptly invites her to his birthday party. The day of his birthday comes, and so do all his friends to the party. Except Mimi, which depresses Linus because he was expecting a free opera performance. But when all is lost and he thinks Mimi won't come, she arrives! She sings, kisses him, and then leaves, because that was her whole purpose. Linus then dances to a funky David Benoit tune, and the credits roll. The end. Wow. All I'm gonna say is, you know something's really bad when no one wants to copyright claim it. There are so many re-uploads on YouTube. Similar to Melody and Mary Jo, the introduction of Mimi held very little purpose besides becoming Linus's crush for the duration of the special. So, unsurprisingly, she never appears again following the special. And I have reached the end of the script. And there you have it. Linus's love life expounded and analyzed in 180p. I suspect that this video is going to be obsolete in 5 or 6 years unless Linus commits to being a bachelor for life, which I highly doubt, by the way. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed watching anyways. This is Tebow, signing off.